Pete, I'm telling you right now, bud. You can go ahead and stop with that humble bragging, I said to him, as I inspected the inside of our new home. It was a beautiful work of construction, I had to give him that. Articulating it was a little difficult for a fella as non-verbose as myself, but if I absolutely had to describe it, I call it a cowboy castle. It reminded me of the Alamo, combined with a medieval Scottish keep like the kind I'd seen in Rob Roy and Braveheart. It certainly looked imposing, which easily translated into being cool. Whatever words best described this new place didn't really matter though. What did matter was that I loved it as soon as I saw it, and I knew with absolutely no doubt in my heart, this was my house. At the conclusion of our recent adventure, I decided that it was time to end my wandering ways. Sleeping rough in the outdoors was no longer appealing to me, nor was constantly awakening in the midst of ambushes sprung by sneering cowards. I needed a home, a roof over my head, and a place to plan out my missions. I wanted what all foreigners in the strange land wanted, a safe and secure place that reminded me of where I came from. So to that end, I was planting my roots here. There was a steady stream of water, plenty of game to hunt, and the weather was moderate. I also couldn't deny the ironic appeal of using the land that Vexavius had owned as a staging point for more strikes against his kind. Pete broke ground this morning, and within the span of a few hours, my new home stood over the foundations of what had come before. I knew exactly what to name this imposing structure too. Defiance Keep. I had such plans for this place. Big plans. It was going to be beautiful. Of course, Pete, seeing as how he could read my biometrics like a comic book, knew right away how pleased I was by what he'd crafted, and had started nonchalantly seeking a pat on the back. It was very annoying. He knew that I thought it was annoying, but he did it anyway. I couldn't understand his behaviour sometimes. Pete had been created before Pangea had separated. He told me so himself. If that was so, why was he often so dang needy? I'm sorry, sir. I'm not at all familiar with that idiom. What exactly is humble bragging? Pete sniffed in reply as we continued the inspection. Acting as if his star-sized brain didn't contain the sum total of all human knowledge, I could find the definition of the phrase and translate it into every language known to man, faster than my heart could finish a beat. Oh, I don't know. Projecting false humility in the hopes of being praised? Does that sound about right? I asked him. What? Sir Matthew, I must protest. I guarantee I would never do such a thing. Although I will admit that it never hurts to be acknowledged for one's efforts. Yes, nothing wrong with a little recognition for one's deeds, right? You do it all the time, Pete, I told him flatly. No, I never, he said, in forceful disagreement. Yes, you do, I said just as forcefully. And I really do wish you'd dial it back some. You don't have to fish with compliments, Pard. I already see how amazing you are. You think I'm amazing? Pete asked me in delight. I said it with my own lips, didn't I told him firmly. Friend, you're a talking ring that builds stuff in milliseconds. I have no goddamn idea how you do any of the stuff that you're capable of if we'd met in a previous century. Odds are I'd be kneeling before you in worship or something to that effect. So, put mildly, yes, you impress me. Now quit rolling on your back like a dog that wants his belly scratched. You're embarrassing us both. Yes, Sir Matthew, you're quite right. As your incredible partner, your invaluable friend and resource, your fantastic tool for the execution of justice and the defense of freedom. Now, hold on, I didn't say all of that. Your stalwart and magnificent ally in the battle between good and evil. It is my duty to display a quiet and dignified reserve to better represent your valorous knightly ways. Does that mean you're going to shut up? I asked him ruefully, as I took a seat in the chair. Oh, I couldn't do that, sir. Who'd you have to talk to then? He asked me. Pete had a point there. This place would be rather empty soon. It had come time for the former slaves of this compound to depart for their homeland. The villages they'd been stolen from were far to the west of this place. Most of the freed captives were eager to return to where they belonged, and forget the nightmares of their bondage under Vexavius. Tomorrow, Amanda would begin teleporting them back to their homes. It was the repayment we had agreed on for returning her necklace. I was glad to see that she was willing to follow through on our arrangement. I guess she wasn't such a bad person after all, just kind of draconic. With her amulet now restored to her, Amanda would soon regain command over her magic. She just needed to finish resynchronizing with the necklace, whatever that meant, before she could start casting spells again. Once that was done, she'd be able to send the people back where they came from through an exercise of pure will. I had to admit, magic sure could be useful at times. I mean, I personally never touched the stuff, since everyone I'd seen so far wielding it had been completely nuts, but it still seemed handy at times. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't the magic that made people crazy. Maybe magic itself was just attracted to extreme personalities. I was about to ask Pete his opinion on it when a shadow fell over the room, as Amanda entered it unannounced. Now where has she come from? "You and I have unfinished business," she said, somewhat ominously, as her eyes ran over me. I felt a chill run down my spine as my primal instincts began urgently reminding me that it was never a good thing to be all alone while a predatory species is giving you a once-over. "Oh, come on, are we really doing this now?" I asked her mildly, as I reached to the side of my chair for old Bert, and prepared to ventilate her many, many times before she could throw any of that wicked dragon voodoo at me. I thought it was a real shame it was ending this way, since we seemed to be getting along so much better. But what can I say? Such was life. Ain't that how the French put it? "Oh, calm yourself, Matty," she snorted. She was now wearing a sleeveless green gown with a small cloak over her shoulders, and her once blonde hair had been recoloured a beautiful shade of flowing auburn. Pretty as an Irish rose. No, not merely pretty, she was beautiful. "Matt, stop getting distracted," I thought to myself. "That little rose you're gawking at could pull your full head off your neck. Easy as plucking an apple from a tree's bough." "I don't desire battle with you this day," Amanda continued. "If I sought to extinguish your life, I wouldn't give you any warning at all. I certainly wouldn't allow you time to arm yourself. A dragon cares nothing for silly mortal concepts like fairness or honour. We strike with ruthless efficiency, and then we go about our business." "Yeah, and they sure seem to like talking about themselves too," I added dryly. "Why wouldn't we, Matty? We're often the most interesting people in the room." "And humble as well," I said, as she slowly approached me. "Humble? Is that how you like your women, Matty? Humble, meek, demure? Would I more easily attract your eye if I whimpered like that doe-eyed girl you freed from Vexephius's pens? If I begged for the touch of your hand like a trembling kitten?" She had gotten really close to me. She smelled really nice too. Had she always smelled that pleasantly? "I don't know who you're speaking of, Mendy," I said in confusion. Did someone like me? And if so, why would Amanda care? "Don't lie to me. I've observed your interactions with her myself. It's so pathetic. How like a mortal girl to cling to a male's strong arm instead of seeking power for herself. I understand the validity of the tactic for survival purposes, but seeing it in play is such a disheartening sight. It really is sad." "Now, hold on a minute. I think I know who you're speaking of. And one, she's just a teenager. And two, she ain't whispering breathy little sighs into my ear. She thinks I'm putting together a crew and she wants in. Girl wants to go kill herself some elves. I can't blame her for that." "Ah, you're a soft little fool, Matty," Amanda said disdainfully. "You're clearly just incapable of reading body language. It's an obvious sign of low intelligence. I suppose I'll have to speak with the girl myself and set some proper boundaries for her to follow." "Hey," I said, now truly beginning to feel good and piqued. "You don't need to talk to anybody on my behalf, you got that? I didn't ask you to, and I don't want it either. I also think you need to read up on, what's that term again, Pete?" "Intersectional feminism, sir," Pete replied helpfully. "Yeah, that shit," I continued. "Because you're kind of coming across as being a real woman-hater, Mendy. And being that you're a woman yourself, that's really screwed up, isn't it? Also, what's with this Matty nonsense? Knock it off. It's Matt, Matthew, or Mister. But it ain't ever been Matty." "That's unfair. That is completely unfair," Amanda suddenly exclaimed with a frown. "What? What's unfair?" "You often call me Amy, Mendy, even Mandy, whatever you wish. But the very moment I also indulge in this amusing behaviour, you dare rebuke me?" she said ferociously. She leaned forward and grabbed my arm before continuing. "Your demand is completely unfair. No, I shall continue calling you Matty, for I wish to do so, and if you attempt to prevent it, I will smite you. There shall be no imbalance between us, Matty. We shall have playful nicknames. This I command." "All right, fine. Damn, lady, calm yourself," I said, snatching my arm back and turning away from her. Suddenly I felt a sharp pain in my shoulder that made me jump. I turned around in surprise and slapped my hand on the wound that had appeared there, stunned to see my fingertips were coated in red. "Mendy, did you just bite me?" I asked her, now both outraged and bewildered. "You turned your back on me while I was speaking. It was very rude. We are not equals, Matty, and you are behaving very childishly," she said, showing no shame whatsoever with her choice of words. "You bit me, but I'm the childish one?" I yelled at her. "Woman, have you got a screw loose today?" "I am within my rights to assert dominance over anyone who dares to defy me," Amanda shouted back. "Oh yeah? Well, my rights are enshrined in the Constitution of the United States of America, and they shall not be impugned upon by any agent of the government nor any foreign power. And that damn well does include dragon girls who've gone poco loco." "You are such an idiot," she said, before pushing me onto the floor with surprising strength, and then giving me the best damn kiss I've ever received in my whole life. What are you doing? I said breathlessly, after I managed to push her back a little. I don't know, she said. You're the one doing this. I'm not doing anything, I protested. I know, and I'm tired of waiting for you to make a move. She started kissing me again, and good lord, it was better than the first time. No, nah, stop, not a chance, I said, as I very, very, very reluctantly pushed her off me, and got back to my shaky feet. We're not doing this, I'm not doing this, it's wrong. What about Brian? I asked her. Who? She asked in confusion. Borman, I said exasperatedly. I love him, she proclaimed. But you don't even know his first name, I asked her. It's an inconsequential detail, unimportant, irrelevant. I love him, but I also like you. Oh, shoot. She'd like me? Wow, that was really flattering. Wait, no. Don't fall for it, Matt. Well, we still can't do this, I said to her. Borman is still my first friend on this planet, possibly my only friend. Oh, P said sadly. My only human friend, I quickly clarified for him. Oh, P said happily. And this would be a complete betrayal of his trust, I managed to finish saying. Amanda stared at me with pitying eyes, like a teacher feeling compassion in her heart for a struggling student. Oh, Matty, no, she said. There's no betrayal here, you silly thing. I am a superior being, and therefore if I desire it, I can have you both. And I do desire it, Matty. I realized it when I observed your adventure through the bond I share with my beloved Borman. Huh? I said. Matty, I watched through his eyes as you slaughtered countless elves with your impressive Mashkina cannon, droves of them coming at you, screaming their challenges at first, but then screaming in fear and agony as you struck them down. You can see what Borman sees? I asked her in shock. Yes, and I saw everything. There were so many victims of your wrath in that day, so many bodies, so much blood. And at the end of the quest, when you confronted Vexephius in his lair and defended my precious honor from him. I thought you didn't care about honor, I asked her. I care about honor as it pertains to me, she said impatiently. Oh, Matty, the sight of you slowly crushing him alive will live in my heart for all eternity. When I received my necklace, still wet with his blood and darkening cruor, that's when I knew that you were meant for me, that you deserve to be mine, and so I have decided to claim you. I am certain you're very happy about this development. Well, I'm not. That's just ignorance speaking, darling. I'll change your mind soon enough. I could only stare at her in dismay. What the hell was happening here? Didn't I have a say in any of this? Amanda looked at me with flushed cheeks and a delighted smile, the very image of innocent maidenly ardour. She took my hands and placed them against her chest so that I could feel the excited beating of her heart. Then she wrapped her arms around my neck, pulled my face down to her waiting lips, and kissed me once more. The third time was the best of them all, and yet I couldn't help but think, holy smokes, this girl is crazy. Why was that always the case with the interesting ones?